When Allah delays something, it's not denial, it's preparation. Sometimes what feels like silence from above is not absence, it's design. It's in those quiet pauses when the heart aches for an answer that doesn't come, that Allah is arranging what you cannot yet see. You ask for the door to open, but He is still strengthening your hands to hold what's behind it. You beg for the storm to end, but He knows your roots haven't grown deep enough to stand the next one. This delay, it's not punishment, it's protection. It's mercy in disguise, because if He gave you everything the moment you ask, you might never learn the beauty of patience, the depth of trust, or the art of surrender. So when it feels like you're waiting too long, remember, Allah is never late. He's only preparing you for what's greater than what you've asked for. There are moments in our lives when the waiting feels unbearable, when the doors we knock on remain closed, no matter how hard we try, and when our prayers echo back with silence. It's in these seasons of delay that our hearts whisper questions we dare not speak aloud. Why not now? Why me? But what we often fail to see is that delay is not a punishment, it's a divine strategy. When Allah delays something, it's never because He's forgotten you, ignored your cries, or dismissed your efforts. It's because He knows the story in its entirety. You only see one page, but He holds the whole book. What feels like a pause is often protection. What feels like silence is often speech in another language. The language of timing, the language of mercy, the language of love. Every delay carries a secret wisdom, and that wisdom always leans toward your good. Even if it hurts right now, the tree doesn't grow. The moment the seed touches the soil, it grows in silence, beneath the ground, in the unseen. That's how Allah works with your life. You might not see anything happening, but roots are being formed, strength is being built, and what will one day bloom is being written deep within your destiny. If what you ask for arrived before you were ready, it would destroy you instead of bless you. So Allah holds it back, not to deprive, but to prepare. He delays so that when He gives, it becomes a gift you can hold with gratitude, not arrogance. He knows the version of you that will exist tomorrow, next year, in another season. And sometimes the delay is simply His way of allowing you to grow into the person capable of carrying the blessing. If you were handed everything you asked for instantly, your heart would never learn patience, your faith would never stretch, and your soul would never mature. Allah doesn't want to give you things that make you forget Him. He wants to give you things that bring you closer. Sometimes delay is the only way your heart can learn how to truly depend. Because in the waiting, we're stripped of control, of illusions, of pride. We're forced to see our smallness, our need, our dependence on Him. And it's there, in that raw, uncomfortable space, that transformation begins. You start realizing that what you thought you wanted may not be what you need, that the timing you imagined may not be what's best, and that the delay itself is part of your answered prayer. Allah doesn't delay to test how long you can wait. He delays to shape who you become while you wait. Every second of delay is a lesson, every unanswered prayer a mirror reflecting your heart back to you. Sometimes we only begin to see the wisdom years later when we look back and say, Alhamdulillah, it didn't happen then. The job that fell through, the person who left, the opportunity that slipped away, all of them were threads being woven into a greater design, and the one who trusts Allah through the delay will find peace even when there's no movement, because peace doesn't come from the arrival of what you want. It comes from the certainty that what Allah has planned is better than what you dreamed. Delay is not the absence of His mercy, it is the expression of it. He withholds. In order to give more beautifully, He pauses your path so you don't walk into harm. He allows the door to stay closed because the room behind it isn't ready yet. Or maybe you aren't. And when the time finally comes, when everything unfolds effortlessly, you'll see that the delay was never a denial. It was the preparation of everything you prayed for. The best things in life are never rushed, and the most sacred things are never given too soon. When Allah delays, He is not making you wait for nothing. He is aligning every detail, softening hearts, clearing paths, protecting you from unseen storms, and teaching your soul what no blessing could ever teach on its own. And when you finally receive what was written for you, you'll realize that the delay was the most beautiful part of the story, because it was during that waiting that you found him more deeply, loved him more sincerely, and trusted him more completely. Waiting is one of the most humbling acts a human heart can endure. It strips you of control, of certainty, and sometimes even of hope, unless you learn to see it through the eyes of faith. The waiting itself is not empty time, it's sacred space, a space where Allah's mercy quietly works in ways you cannot yet perceive. When you are waiting, you are being held in a place between what was and what will be. And in that place, His mercy is both your shelter and your teacher. We often think mercy only looks like ease, quick answers, or instant relief. But the truth is, sometimes mercy hides itself inside the very delay we wish away. The waiting softens what pride has hardened. It teaches the restless heart to be still, to trust, to listen. When you are waiting, Allah is not ignoring you. He is cleansing you. He is washing away the haste that would have ruined your blessing. He is removing the attachment to outcomes, so that when the blessing arrives, your heart bows first to the giver, not to the gift. Think about how many times you prayed for something you thought was good for you, but later realized it wasn't. That's mercy. Think about the times you were kept waiting so long that you grew tired and surrendered. And in that surrender, you discovered peace. That too is mercy. The mercy of waiting is that it reveals to you who you are without what you want. It exposes your dependencies, your idols, your fears, and your impatience, and it invites you to replace all of them with tawakkul, with pure trust. Waiting purifies faith from conditions. It transforms "I'll trust you if" into "I'll trust you even if." That shift, though painful, is the most merciful gift Allah can give a believer. Because it's in that transformation that love becomes sincere, worship becomes selfless, and prayer becomes real. Mercy often wears the disguise of delay because Allah's compassion doesn't always feel soft. It sometimes feels like discipline, and that discipline is love. It's the love of a Lord who wants to protect your heart from breaking over things that were never meant to hold it. Sometimes He makes you wait because He knows your heart is clinging to something unworthy of it. He withholds not to deprive you, but to detox your soul from illusions that would poison your peace. There is mercy in every unanswered prayer because unanswered prayers are still answered, just differently. They are answered in the way that preserves your iman, your dignity, and your eternal good. Every moment of waiting is an act of unseen grace. When Allah delays your wish, He's giving you more than you asked for. He's giving you the chance to grow into the kind of person who can handle the blessing with gratitude instead of arrogance. The mercy of waiting is that it builds endurance without you realizing it. It teaches your heart to breathe through uncertainty, to find beauty in surrender, and to rest in remembrance instead of rushing in restlessness. The longer you wait with trust, the stronger your spirit becomes. Because waiting is not passive, it's an act of quiet faith. It's your soul whispering, "I believe even when I don't see." When you look at prophets and the righteous before you, their lives were marked by waiting. Yusuf waited years in prison before honor was restored to him. Musa waited in exile before his mission began. Even the prophet Muhammad waited, his heart burdened yet steadfast. As revelation descended gradually, their waiting was not wasted. It was the field where faith matured and mercy bloomed. And yours is no different. Your waiting carries within it the same unseen mercy that wrapped around them. There are times when the delay stretches so long that you feel forgotten. But that's the illusion that waiting tests, because mercy isn't measured by how fast things happen. It's measured by how deeply you are being transformed. Allah's mercy does not only come in giving, it comes in withholding. It's not only found in the answered prayer, it's also in the strength He grants you to keep praying. Every tear you shed in the waiting, every moment you choose sabr over despair is recorded as an act of love between you and Him. One day, when you look back, you'll realize the waiting wasn't punishment, it was preservation. It wasn't silence, it was speech. It wasn't neglect. It was nurture, and you'll thank him not only for what he finally gave, but for how he taught your heart to love him through the waiting, because the mercy of waiting is that it teaches you the most sacred truth of all, that peace is not found in getting what you want, but in trusting the one who knows when to give it. There is a kind of silence that feels unbearable. The silence that comes when your prayers seem to hang in the air unanswered. When the heart keeps asking and the world keeps quiet, you look for signs, for changes, for movement, but everything stands still. And in that stillness, something begins to ache inside you, as if you've been left alone. But that silence is not abandonment. It is sacred ground. It is the space where Allah works most deeply on the soul. When Allah chooses silence, it is not because he has turned away. It is because he is turning you inward. He is calling you to discover the kind of faith that does not rely on noise, on evidence, or on visible blessings. He is teaching you to stand steady even when there is no sign of an answer. In that silence, the soul begins to unlearn its dependency on constant reassurance and instead learns how to rest in certainty. Silence is not the absence of God's presence. It is the moment when his nearness becomes invisible so that your heart can learn to see beyond sight. When the world is quiet, the heart is forced to listen to what it's been avoiding. The noise of life can hide so many truths, our fears, our attachments, our impatience. But in silence, there is no hiding. You come face to face with yourself. You hear the echoes of your dependence, your weakness, your longing. And in that confrontation, your soul begins to soften. It learns humility. It learns patience. It learns that not all growth is loud or visible. Some of it happens in darkness, like a seed under the earth. That's what silence does. It buries you not to end you, but to transform you. And one day, what seemed lifeless will break open into something new, something stronger, something more beautiful than before. We often ask for Allah to change our circumstances, but he sometimes responds by changing us instead. And that change happens most profoundly in silence. When nothing around you moves, everything within you begins to shift. The heart learns to let go of its need to control. The ego begins to surrender. And you start to realize that you were never waiting for something external. You were waiting for your own soul to be ready. The silence teaches that readiness. It refines your desires, cleanses your intentions, and shapes your prayers into something pure. It's no longer give me what I want, but give me what brings me closer to you. That is the transformation silence births, the kind of faith that no longer depends on outcomes, but on presence. In that quiet space, you begin to notice the subtler signs of Allah's mercy, a calm heart in the middle of uncertainty, a strength that appears when you should have broken, a sense of peace that makes no logical sense. These are not small things. They are miracles dressed in silence. They are the evidence that he is nearer than your breath, even when he does not speak. The soul, through silence, learns to listen with its heart instead of its ears. It begins to understand that guidance does not always arrive through words. Sometimes it comes through patience, through stillness, through the slow unfolding of time. The silence is a teacher. It trains your soul to distinguish between desire and destiny, between what you want and what you are meant for. In silence, you learn the art of submission, not the kind that is forced, but the kind that is born from trust. You begin to realize that silence is not emptiness, it's preparation. That Allah's stillness toward you is not rejection, it's the molding of your spirit. Every unanswered prayer in that silence is reshaping your heart to hold something greater. Every tear that falls in solitude is washing away what cannot stay. And yet silence can hurt. It can feel cold and endless. But even pain is part of the transformation. The soul cannot grow without breaking a little. Every test that drives you to your knees is not to crush you, but to rebuild you upon sincerity. In silence, Allah is teaching you what no word could ever teach, that you are never alone, that even when the world forgets you, that his love is not proven by constant blessings, but by the depth of peace he plants inside you when everything seems uncertain. There comes a moment, often unnoticed, when the silence no longer frightens you, when you stop searching for signs and start resting in surrender. That is the sign that your soul has transformed. You no longer chase after answers because you have found the answerer. You no longer cling to timing because you have found the timeless. Silence has done its work. It has stripped away illusion and revealed truth. You start to see the delay not as distance but as devotion. Because Allah only hides when He wants to be sought more sincerely. He only delays when He wants your love to deepen. And so the soul, through the long nights of silence, learns the sweetest lesson of all, that the absence of sound does not mean the absence of God. It means He is speaking in a different way, through patience, through peace, through the quiet growth of your faith. And in that stillness, the soul finds its true voice, the one that whispers, I trust you even here. Sometimes the most beautiful blessings arrive not when you ask for them, but when you've stopped expecting them. And when they do, you realize they were never delayed. They were being prepared while you were crying, waiting, wondering. Allah was arranging, aligning, and perfecting every detail behind the veil of the unseen. What looks like stillness from your side is movement from His. What feels like emptiness in your hands is fullness being shaped elsewhere. When Allah delays, He is not denying you, He is preparing what is better than what you asked for. The unseen preparation is one of the greatest signs of His mercy, because it reminds you that Allah's plan is not random. It's precise, purposeful, and always for your ultimate good. We are people of immediacy. We want the fruit before the tree has grown. We want results before the roots have settled. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, doesn't rush the process. He prepares you and your blessing at the same time, ensuring that when the two meet, they fit perfectly. Imagine being given what you prayed for when you were not ready. You might have ruined it. It might have destroyed you. And so He holds it back, not to hurt you, but to heal you first. The unseen preparation is both internal and external. Inside, Allah is refining your character, polishing your patience, deepening your faith. Outside, He is aligning people, places, and opportunities that will serve the blessing when the time comes. You can't see it yet, but the path is being cleared. What you think is a delay is actually divine coordination. There are blessings that require certain conditions to exist before they can manifest. A person meant for you may still be learning lessons of their own. A job you long for may be undergoing unseen changes that will make it better for you later. A dream you're chasing may need you to grow stronger before it's safe to hand it to you. Allah sees all of this while you only see the surface. And so He delays, not to keep you waiting, but to give you a blessing that won't slip away the moment it arrives. His preparation is detailed and deliberate. Even the smallest aspects of your journey, the people you meet, the moments that test you, the times you are redirected, all serve the purpose of building a foundation strong enough to hold what you've been praying for. The unseen preparation also protects you. Allah sometimes keeps a blessing hidden until it's safe for you to receive it. He shields it from you so that no harm can reach it before its time. He hides it behind delays, detours, and disappointments. What you perceive as rejection is often divine preservation, because not everything you want immediately is what you are meant to have immediately. There are times when rushing something would be the very thing that breaks it, and Allah, in His mercy, ensures that your blessing is not half-formed, that it doesn't arrive incomplete. He prepares both you and the gift to meet in the perfect moment. Think about rain. Before a drop ever touches the earth, countless unseen processes take place: evaporation, condensation, the formation of clouds, the buildup of pressure. You can't see any of it, but all of it is necessary. Only then does rain fall at exactly the right time and place. Your blessings are like that. They are forming, gathering, growing in the unseen. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not coming. The unseen preparation is the rain cloud of your dua gathering quietly in the sky. But while Allah prepares your blessings, He also prepares you for them. That's why the waiting feels hard. Because it's during that time that He removes the parts of you that can't carry what's coming. He humbles your heart, purifies your intention, and stretches your patience. You might not realize it, but every test you endure, every delay you face, every loss you grieve, All of it is shaping you into the person who can handle the blessing wisely. If you look closely, you'll notice that your du'as are not being ignored. They're being answered through growth. The delay forces you to confront your weakness, to deepen your reliance, to seek meaning beyond what you can control. That's part of the preparation too. Sometimes you are being prepared for blessings far greater than what you asked for. You might have prayed for stability, but He's preparing you for abundance. You might have prayed for a person, but He's preparing you for purpose. You might have prayed for a home, but He's preparing you for peace. Allah's unseen work often exceeds the limits of your imagination. That's why patience is not passive. It's a declaration of trust. It says, even if I don't see it, I believe you're working. And that belief becomes the soil where future blessings bloom. There will come a moment when everything will make sense. When you'll look back and realize that every closed door was necessary, every detour intentional, every delay a form of protection, you'll see that what felt like silence was really a symphony being composed in another realm. And when the blessing finally arrives, it will fit so perfectly that you'll understand it couldn't have come a day sooner or later, because it was never just about what you were waiting for. It was about who you became while you waited and how beautifully Allah prepared you to receive what was always written for you. There is a deep pain that comes when something you longed for slips through your hands, when a door you knocked on for so long finally closes, when the opportunity disappears, when the person leaves, when the prayer you prayed again and again is met not with yes, but with silence, or worse, with no. In those moments, it's easy to label it as rejection. It feels like loss, like failure, like divine neglect. But what we often forget is that rejection in the language of this world is sometimes redirection in the language of heaven. When Allah removes something, He is not diminishing your life. He is rerouting your soul. What you see as an ending is often the beginning of a far more beautiful path, one that you couldn't have seen if that door had stayed open. Rejection hurts, but redirection heals, and only time, faith, and reflection reveal which one it truly was. You see, rejection feels personal, but it's actually purposeful. Allah never takes without intending to replace. He just replaces differently. Sometimes He replaces your plan with His, your attachment with peace, your loss with wisdom. And in that exchange, something sacred happens. Your heart learns that it was never about the thing you wanted. It was about who you were becoming through the wanting. If every door opened the moment you knocked, you would never grow roots of resilience. You would never learn surrender. So Allah closes doors not to punish you, but to redirect you to the ones that lead where you truly belong. The rejection you face is often the mercy you don't yet understand. When you are rejected from something you desired, pause before despair. Because Allah doesn't close doors out of cruelty, He closes them out of care. Imagine being inside a burning building while begging to stay. Only someone who loves you would pull you out, even if you scream in protest. That's what divine redirection looks like. You think you're being pulled away from your dream, but He's rescuing you from something that would have harmed your heart or distracted your soul. The rejection you feel now may one day be the very thing you thank Him for. How many times have you looked back at something you thought you couldn't live without and whispered, Alhamdulillah, it didn't work out? That's the proof. Rejection often saves you from what you could not see. Redirection also means refinement. Sometimes Allah redirects you not away from something, but towards something greater within yourself. He lets your plans crumble so that your dependence shifts from the creation to the Creator. You learn to build dreams that aren't rooted in ego or expectation, but in alignment with His will. Redirection doesn't always mean changing destination. Sometimes it means changing intention. The same prayer you once made for worldly gain becomes a prayer for closeness. The same goal you chased for recognition becomes an act of service. That transformation, born through rejection, is a sign of His love. There is also a mercy in the timing of redirection. Allah never closes a door without already having another prepared. But sometimes He allows you to stand in the hallway a little longer, to test your patience, to strengthen your trust. The waiting between what you lost and what's next is where faith is refined. It's where you learn to say, even if I don't understand, I still trust you. Because faith doesn't mean everything will go your way. It means believing that His way is always better, even when it breaks you first. Every no is a bridge to a better yes. Every rejection is a pause before a perfect arrival. Think of the prophets and how often their paths were redirected. Yusuf was thrown into a well and sold into slavery, rejection by his own brothers, yet that very rejection became the road to a throne. Musa fled Egypt in fear, only to be redirected back as a messenger. Even the Prophet Muhammad faced rejection from his people, yet those same moments of pain became the foundation for a movement that changed the world. Their stories remind us, rejection is never the end for those who trust Allah. It is the redirection of destiny towards something far greater than they could imagine. The human heart often clings to what feels familiar, to what feels safe, and when that is taken away, it feels like loss. But what if the loss is the lesson? What if the rejection is the protection? What if the door that shut was keeping you from a path that would have led you away from peace? Allah sees what you cannot. He knows what would corrupt your heart, what would break your spirit, what would distance you from Him. And so, when He removes something, it is never a mistake. It is mercy disguised as disappointment. Redirection also carries with it the promise of renewal. It means that life doesn't end at one no. It unfolds into something unexpected, something written precisely for you. But to see it, you must keep walking, you must keep believing that beyond this closed door lies something that fits you better. Spiritually, emotionally, eternally, you may not understand the path now, but one day when you look back, you will realize that Allah was never taking from you. He was guiding you. Every rejection was an invitation to something higher. Every closed door was a sign that you were meant for something else, something better. So when you face a no, don't let it break your heart. Let it bend it toward prayer. When the world turns you away, turn toward Him. Because sometimes the direction of your greatest heartbreak becomes the direction of your greatest growth, and you'll discover that what looked like rejection was actually the gentlest redirection of all. Allah leading you, not away, but closer. There is an unshakable peace that enters the heart when you finally understand that Allah is not just the creator of all things. He is the author of time itself. Every moment, every delay, every turning of seasons is written with divine precision. Nothing arrives too early. Nothing leaves too late. The timing of your life is not random. It is intentional. Yet the human heart, impatient and fragile, struggles with this truth. We want what we want, and we want it now. We measure life by deadlines and milestones, forgetting that the one who created time cannot be rushed by it. Trusting the author of time means learning to surrender not only your desires, but also the when of those desires. It's realizing that His calendar is wiser than your clock, and His plan unfolds not by seconds or minutes, but by mercy. Every delay you face is a test of that trust. When you feel stuck between what was and what will be, that is where your faith is refined. Because in those waiting seasons, Allah is not silent. He is scheduling. He is arranging events in ways that you cannot yet comprehend. Maybe the thing you asked for isn't denied. Maybe it's simply being timed perfectly to meet you when you are ready, when your heart has matured enough to receive it. The blessing that seems late to you is arriving at the speed of wisdom, not the speed of want. There is a reason that even the sunrise does not come before dawn. Everything in this universe follows divine timing. The stars, the tides, the hearts of believers all move according to His command. Why then would your life be any different? Trusting the author of time also means trusting that your delays, your detours, even your disappointments are not accidents. Every wait a little longer carries meaning. You are not forgotten in the waiting. You are being woven into a story that stretches beyond what you can see. If you could glimpse the unseen, you would thank Him for every delay that once made you cry. Because His timing is never about withholding, it's about protection and perfection. Sometimes He delays because the blessing you seek is still growing, sometimes because you are still growing, and sometimes because the moment He has chosen for your joy will magnify His wisdom in a way that an earlier answer never could. Think of your life like a book already written by the most merciful. Every chapter has its appointed place. The heartbreak that shattered you was not a mistake, it was a turning point. The unanswered prayer that haunts you was not forgotten. It's being reserved for a better page. When you trust the author, you stop trying to edit the story. You start reading it with patience, knowing that the suspense, the pauses, the waiting, all serve a purpose. You begin to understand that Allah is not delaying your happiness, He's deepening it. What He writes for you is always wrapped in mercy, even when it arrives disguised as struggle. Trusting Allah's timing also teaches you humility. It reminds you that you are not in control. You cannot force a sunrise, and you cannot rush divine decree. The moment you surrender to that truth, your heart finds rest. Because when you stop fighting time, you start flowing with it. You begin to notice how even what felt like delays were actually divine alignments. The job that didn't work out led you to a better one. The relationship that ended freed you for something healthier. The plan that failed redirected you toward purpose. When you look closely, you see that every timing, even the painful ones, was perfect in hindsight. There's a quiet beauty in trusting the one who holds time. It transforms your anxiety into acceptance. You stop asking, when will it happen? And start saying, whenever you decide, I'll be ready. You start to live in peace because you know that Allah has already written the ending, and it's good even when things move slower than you hoped. You remember that delay is not denial, it's design. He withholds to refine, not to reject. He pauses to prepare, not to punish. And every second that passes is part of His mercy unfolding with precision. Look at nature. The seed does not bloom overnight. The moon does not reach fullness in a single phase. The river takes time to carve its way through stone. Everything created obeys divine timing. Yet, unlike us, they do not complain. They trust the rhythm set for them by their Creator. To trust Allah's timing is to return to that natural rhythm, to breathe again in alignment with His wisdom. It's to realize that waiting is not wasting, it's worship. Because every moment you wait with faith is a moment your heart declares, I believe you know best. And truly, He knows which heartbreak will purify you, which delay will strengthen you, which unanswered prayer will guide you. He knows what tomorrow holds, what dangers you can't see, what blessings are still being built for you. Trusting the author of time means handing Him the pen and letting Him write your story without interruption. Because His timing is not just perfect, it's personal, tailored to your soul, designed for your destiny, and wrapped in love that never fails. One day, when you stand where He wanted you to be all along, you'll look back and realize how perfectly it all fit together. The waiting, the losses, the long nights, all of it was necessary. And you'll whisper with a heart finally at peace that every second of delay was worth it, because it was never about your timing, it was always about His.